We ain't in Kansas anymore. Okay. This ain't no elevated event this week. Hell, I don't even think there's somebody in the top 20 this week. We're here to talk the Rocket Mortgage Classic and no more elevated events on the PGA Tour. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good evening, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all to Fairway to Heaven right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You know the drill. Hit those like, share, subscribe buttons wherever you are watching. Get interactive with the show. Share some stuff out. Tell one, tell all, tell a friend to get involved as we talk this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic, plus a bunch of other stuff as we, navigate this week's field, guys. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, as always, at Beard and Knowledge. Joining me today, late substitute Steve Fuentes. So pardon Steve if he's not 100% ready for today, because Jason in Detroit area, quote unquote, with the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit, just lost power because there are some storms rolling around the Detroit area. Should be clear by Thursday, but kind of goes to show what we could be involved with. So, Steve, thanks for tagging in and subbing in on short notice.
No problem. I'm going to get, I was saying to you before the show, going to get some of this, some of my own studying in on the show, on the fly.
We're going to study and prep you live on the air for this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic. I want to start this week with there's a couple before we break down the field. There's a couple different stories, couple different narratives, couple different things I want to talk about and cover. First and foremost being that we don't have an elevated field. And it's not just that we don't have an elevated field this week. It's the simple fact that the way they structured the schedule with, what was it, like 5 elevated events in a 6-week span, that you literally have no elite golfers. There's not one golfer in the top 20 of the world golf rankings in this field this week. Scottie Scheffler already came out and said he's taken 3 weeks off before the Open Championship. Obviously, we've talked about it before on this show. We'll talk about it again today. I think the PGA not only needs to adjust how they handle the elevated events, but they got to work on the structure and scheduling of them where they're broken up a little bit more, because this week and next week at the John Deere, next week will be even worse. This week's a weak field. Next week will be even more terrible, being that then after that is the Scottish Open and the British Open. So guys are going to be leaving the States for them. They got to do something with these elevated events and the way they schedule them, don't they?
Yeah, it's almost got to be like one of these sort of events, like Rocket Mortgage, then the Travelers, then a major.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be leading up to a major instead of coming down from a major. And I guess their whole point is that the casuals who are up for those majors for moments like Bryson, I don't know what the ratings were, but I'm sure the Travelers ratings were high, and I'm sure whatever tournament Live Golf was super high. So I guess in that aspect it's good, but for some of these golfers who are, man, this is like 6-7 weeks in a row, it's got to be hard to keep doing this.
I mean, we were talking before we went live. I mean, a guy like Batea's played like 9 weeks in a row. And he's playing this week, but, Scottie Scheffler, yeah, he's going to take a couple of weeks off. He just had a kid. Sam Burns just had a kid. These golfers have been going, you didn't need, I get what you're saying. We're capitalizing on the major the week after, but you went major, elevated event, week off, elevated event, major, elevated event. You bookend majors with elevated events. So actually 6 out of 7, last week's were majors or elevated events. You got to spread them out just a little bit more. A little bit more, because now all this momentum you've built up, the next 2 weeks you're going to lose it all. The following week, the Scottish Open is going to be on a different time zone, so you're not going to have that momentum. Even though that'll be a deep field, it won't be as watchable for people. And then the Open Championship, which is always great, but we've got 2 months of the season left. And yeah, you'll have the FedEx Cup playoffs there at the end. But for the next 6 weeks outside the Open Championship, most golfers aren't going to play. You're going to see Scottie Scheffler maybe twice over the next 6 weeks. You might see some of the other top guys only once over the next 6 weeks. And it's unfortunate for the game that you're trying to grow.
It also doesn't help how far ahead too he is in the standings.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, it's hurting even more of the viewership because it's like even on the competitive level, for the tail end of the season when you have the final 3 events, it's like, man, he's so far ahead. It's really who's playing for second and rest on from that point on.
It's funny. I haven't actually looked this up, but I would be shocked if he didn't already qualify for the Tour Championship at this point, Scottie Scheffler. Like, he's so far ahead. Like, he might even be able to skip the first 2 events and still qualify.
What? It's the first time. So they said Tiger hasn't even done this, right? Where 6 events before July, whatever the date was, right?
Yeah, it's something insane. You mentioned Tiger, and I think that's a really good segue. There's a very interesting. You've on this show been a few times, and Jason and I have talked about it, that they've got to make changes to the elevated events. Obviously, these 60, 70 no cut events they're no bueno, in my opinion. The first shoe to drop for next year has already happened, and I like it. It's not anywhere near enough. It's not, but they've given Tiger Woods an exemption to all elevated events next year, and it's cool. I mean, we've given Webb Simpson how many exemptions to events this year, so why not Tiger? And it'll maybe get Tiger to play more than 4 events in a year. Do you think that was a good idea? At least elevated events don't need star power, but you're giving it even more star power by putting Tiger Woods in whichever ones he wants.
And especially if there's not going to be a cut, right?
Yeah.
So now you have Tiger on TV for, it doesn't matter how good he's doing or how well he's doing in the event. If he's at the bottom, hey, there's a story. If he's at the top, guess what? There's a story. So for, again, many reasons, I think it's well deserved for him. If he wants to play them, good on him. It is a shame though, because I kind of feel like it's almost like them reaching to be like, please don't stop playing, Tiger. Like, I know you're hurting and everything.
I didn't think of that. That's an interesting point right there. Maybe
Because
they're trying to
I feel
encourage
like,
him to play more.
yeah, because I feel like he himself probably doesn't want to play as much. And now it's almost like, well, you guys are offering me the invite, and I want to be able to go. So it's like kind of putting him in a position of, oof, how am I feeling almost?
Was it the U.S. Open or the PGA Championship? They were talking on the broadcast that he was almost out of exemptions to. Like, is it the U.S. Open? I think. Like, he's not guaranteed to play in the U.S. Open next year. They'll probably give him exemption if he wanted it to. But by giving him these elevated events, it gives him an opportunity maybe to earn some more points to qualify. I mean, I doubt he'll ever get in the top 50 world rankings again to qualify, but it might give him the opportunity to get into to keep his major streak going.
And for other guys too, it gives some of these up and coming guys like the Ludwigs and the Hoiberg brothers, to possibly even be paired up with them and have that moment. I think it was was it McIntyre or Coles maybe who was paired up with him on a Sunday, and it was like super early, and it was like to have that moment was incredible for some of those young guys to be able to play around the golf with Tiger and have those conversations is probably like second in
and
to
maybe
none.
teach these young guys, like a guy like Gobert, who's the hot name, the up and comer. I don't think he's a rookie. I think he started last year, but you know what I'm saying. Like a chance to experience the fanfare and what it means to really be in the spot. Like maybe it'll teach him how to close on a Sunday at a major, because he won't be unsure of how to handle the spotlight if he gets a chance to play with Tiger in an event. I think it's an interesting thing. It's nowhere near enough of an adjustment to the elevated events, but it's the first shoe. It's something good. It's a smart business move for the PGA Tour, because Tiger still draws ratings.
And I think the next move has to be some sort of agreement with Liv and
Mhm.
whoever is in the top 10 for those guys gets an automatic invite over to these like signature events to where maybe you can have a cut to where it's if it's the top 8, 85 guys are invited, golfers are invited, top 50. That way you're still competing, you're having the
Mhm.
cut that people seem to really, really miss. And you're also creating the storyline of, oh, okay, well, now these live golfers really got to take it serious who are
Mhm.
playing over there where it's, I feel like a lot of them just went over there for money. So
Yeah.
now it's competing, giving them an incentive as well.
I started thinking about it, and now you're giving me some other ideas here on the spot. I was thinking originally 100 golfers in elevated events.
Mhm.
Like cut off of that. What's the Masters is normally like 90 or 92. You said 85. So 85 to 100 golfers. Pick your number, whatever. Top 50 in ties make the weekend. And I like how you said the top 10 golfers of the year on Live can go into these elevated events. I would take it a step further. If you're a live golfer and you're still in the top 50 world rankings, which there are some because some of these guys are still playing DP
Yep.
events, they're playing majors, they're going to Asia and playing the Asian tour and stuff like that. You know, if you're in the top 50 of the world rankings still, you get in. If you're the top 10 on live, you can get in. And that's how you go from 70 to 85 or 70 to 90 golfers. And then it also gives these guys more incentive to go play these other tours to keep their world golf rankings up. Someone like John Rahm or Dustin Johnson, they don't care. You know what I mean? I don't know if you saw the video, John Rahm cussing about the drone, but John Rahm
Oh
went
my
over for the
God.
money. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
he's
What you
unhappy.
get.
Yeah, you get what you get. But I think maybe John Rahm would be a little happier if he still got to compete 1 or 2 times a year more in the elevated events. You know what I mean? And I always say someone like Dustin Johnson, he gave up caring about golf as soon as he took that paycheck. But maybe if he's got more incentive to play a few other events on the PGA Tour, maybe he changes. I don't know. I still think Dustin Johnson's given up. So you've seen the video of John Rahm cussing about the drones?
I wasn't a big Rom fan to begin
Yeah.
with, but isn't that like the biggest example of the grass isn't always greener on the other side sort of like situation? And I feel bad for him in a sense because, like you said, he really wants to compete in golf and have those sort of master moments, that he had a few seasons ago. And I really don't really see him having that while playing on Live Tour or as they're separated the way they are.
I mean, I thought it was hilariously great, and I think I even said something on Twitter about this is
Yeah.
what you get. You know what I mean? This is
Yep.
what you get. You get what you deserve. And John Rahm's like a perfect villain. Like golf needs a hero.
Mm,
Bryson's right now turning into that hero. Golf also needs a villain, and John Rahm has that personality, but also the skill set to back up being a villain. You don't want a villain like if Thanos. Thanos is a great villain in the Marvel Comics universe. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head, someone like way down the level of they couldn't be the villain because they don't have anything to back it
right.
up. Thanos had the ability to back. John Rahm can back up being the villain.
Being the villain.
So
Yeah.
golf needs the PGA Tour needs the golf world needs John Rahm and Bryson on the PGA Tour because you got that hero and villain mentality to an extent. But I also, on the flip side, couldn't have been happier to see John Rahm get pissed
To
off
see it.
about a drone. Like Liv is trying to be creative with golf. It's not working, but they're trying. The drones are trying. I love seeing John Rahm get pissed off because of a drone.
I wonder if those drones have ever gotten like nailed before with a ball. I mean, I'm sure it'd be pretty hard, but the fact that they're just out there, that has to be distracting. Like for
Oh,
some of these guys. Like not
absolutely.
for me. I could care less. I play with music on when I go out there. So,
Yeah,
but
you
to
know what?
hear
I used to hate
that,
music, but I just played on a Monday and I played recently. My brother-in-law likes to play music, and I've actually gotten used to it and kind of like the idea of a little music in the background to kind of chill it out,
yep,
relax the
yep,
mood. I
mellow,
suck
yep,
at
yep.
golf, so anything to relax me, helps a little bit.
I count to 10 I have a routine. I count to 10. I'm like, all right, breathe, feet are right, hands are right. And it never goes where I want it to, but I just count to 10. Let it rip.
I like that because that is something I just started doing golfing about a year ago. I start taking deep breaths, like, and I make sure it's a super big exhale. I started it with putting, and now I've moved it on to every shot. And I guess my brother-in-law's never noticed me doing it. So they started giving me a hard time because I can't take the deep breath quietly. For some reason, I got to do like a deep, really loud. And he picked up on it, and they started busting my stones so bad because can't you breathe through your nose? Why do you have to take that exhale through your mouth like that? I'm like, I don't know. It's my process. I went from being the worst putter in the world to being a manageable putter on a golf course because of that just quick exhale. So I'm like, golf is a thing of routine. It works for me. Just let me do it.
Team up with Phil on the EOP mini golf tournament whenever it happens.
I'm just telling you. We actually had a pretty good golf outing yesterday.
Nice.
So let's transition to this week. Rocket Mortgage, Detroit Country or Golf Club, 7,300 yard course, par 72. Like I said, weaker field. There are some names. You've got the Tom Kims of the world, the Yaxay Bateas, Cam Young, who had a crazy 59 last week. Adam, I saw your post here. Picks last week. I had great DFS lineups last week. Obviously, I had Batea and Finau as outrights, who came up just short on Sunday. How were your lineups last week?
The one for the show, I had Benny on, so that one was out. And then I had a lot of Cantlay, so I did a lot of really well. I had a lot of Cantlay, a lot of Batea, and a lot of Harmon in a lot of my lineups. So all those guys finished top 10. So I was fairly well in my lineups. Okay. Nothing major though, but enough to play this week.
It's just crazy in a DraftKings setting. If you have a golfer, like where your lineups rank profitability wise in a lineup with a guy in first place and he drops to fourth place, the ebbs and flows and the swings of a lineup, because every other minute, one of my lineups had a first place guy. And then in the end, I had no first place guys because Scottie Scheffler won again. But this week we're at the Rocket Mortgage, and a lot of the guys that were on that leaderboard are there this week. Like I said, Batea, Cam Young, whatnot. But I want to touch back on last year first, because someone we talked a lot about the last 2 years on this show was Rickie Fowler and whether he would ever, get back. And, Rickie Fowler is still a big draw, and he's in the field this week. He still has that name recognition to the casual golf fans. We really thought, and it was one of my outright, I hit, just like a lot of other people, Rickie Fowler last year at the Rocket. It was one of my outright hits last year. But he didn't like follow it up. Like I really thought once he got that win, the shoes were off, or the gloves were off, he was going to start playing really well again. He's fallen to pieces again. Rickie Fowler is weird to me because as bad of a golfer as he's become over the last 3-4 years, he is still a huge draw. Is Rickie Fowler got anything left in the tank, or is he who he is?
He played great too last week. He pretty sure he finished top 20. I played him the Memorial. I had him in lineups, and that was the round on Friday. He shot like a +10, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And I was like, I'll never play him again, sort of deal. And then now week after week since then, he's played really well. I feel like he's going to be pretty popular this week because of it, because the weaker field, he's the name.
Since he won the Rocket Mortgage last year, he's only had 3 top 20s, last week being one of them.
Yep.
And he's had 5 missed cuts in that stretch too. So he's got more missed cuts than top 20 since his first win or first any bit of success in a very long period of time. I just think it's crazy because he is a talented golfer. He's got nothing.
Name too.
I don't know what to think of him. Last year, even before his win, though, he was turning around. He had a lot of top 10s, a lot of top 15s. I just don't know about Rickie Fowler. Obviously missing cuts at the U.S. Open, the Memorial, barely making the cut at the PGA, and the Masters. I feel because the guy is a draw. And if Rickie Fowler could figure it out, we keep saying, what does golf need? Rickie Fowler being good again, just like Jordan Spieth being great again or whatnot. Rickie Fowler is one of those names that would be good for golf's growth if he could get himself back on track.
100%. 100%. What he did when he was in his prime, when he came out with that Puma and the hair and the flat bill and that crowd that he brought, that youth crowd. And I still feel like he would be one of those people because people remember that. And he's still a cool dude. He's still a cool dude. He's a fan, he's a fan favorite. He's good with the fans, with the crowd and everything like that. So if his game can come back, he'd be another person who would be good. The Bryson sort of moments where it's like, man, this is a feel good story sort of golfer.
Okay. All right. So this week, obviously, Detroit Golf Club, 7,300 yard course. It's a bomber's course. Driver distance. There's not a lot of penal rough or wood or traps or anything like that. It's one of those occasions where you have to discuss stats wise. Are you worried about driving distance? Are you worried about general off the tee, good drives gain, fairway gain, what you're going with? I think personally, and this is where I'm zoning in on this week, I'm going for driver's distance because a lot of the guys that have done well at this course have been able to hit the ball. Hence why I love Cam Young this week because he shot a 59 last week and he was only the 8th best putter that round. He was barely in the top 20 on approach shooting a 59. So if he's getting to any good form, this course fits his game perfectly. And I'm looking for guys that are going to make a lot, and I mean a lot of birdies this week because there's a chance at 25, 28 under could win this week. What are you looking for this week? Because there's a couple other stats that people have been talking about this week that are key to success here.
Like you said, I'm looking at the same thing, bombers. Because if you can, I know there's a few par fives here where you can really test it, and guys like Cam Young, who else was it? Toasty. I was looking at him. He can spray it all over. You don't really need to be accurate either. So one thing I'm not looking for is accuracy off the tee. I'm just looking for, because the fairways, it's not really a second shot course. And then their game around the greens and then putting, like you were saying, because it's going to be in the upper 20s. I feel like last year it was 24. I think this is going to be like 25, 26, maybe even 27 sort of
I want to
for the
say
winner.
1 year was 29 under. Give me a
Isn't
second.
that crazy?
I might have this up somewhere here. No, that doesn't say. I thought I had it up on the screen. I think 1 year was 29 under. Anyway, so you got the top of the board this week in what is obviously a weak field. Tom Kim, Cam Young, Minwoo Lee, and Alec Noren. They're your 10K and above guys. I kind of feel like Akshay Bhatia should have. He's 9,800. I kind of want to group him in with the elite golfers in this field. I almost feel like he should be in the 10K, maybe Alec Noren, maybe not in the top 10, because Bhatia has just been lights out. He's won on tour. He's proven he can win. He's creative. He's fun. Out of those top guys, obviously, Bhatia has had a lot of recent success, played a lot of golf lately. Cam Young with the 59 last week. Still can't close and win, though. Where are you looking? Who do you like in this top of the board the most this week?
The one person I was really shocked at was Minwoo being as high as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have put, if I was DraftKings, I would have had Akshay in that spot and just flipped those two. And that's how I would have seen it. But he is someone who I feel like is a great fade, Minwoo, in this one, who a lot of people probably aren't going to go to. But I like Alex Noren in this.
Okay.
He's got a great putter. His driver is, so-so, but he's great second shot guy. And so if he can get on the green and his putter's on, that's who I like in the 10K range.
And the last 2 times he's played here, he's been top 10 both times. So I mean that doesn't hurt either. When that's the case. I like in this range. I like Cam Young. I'm sticking to Cam Young. I've already built 4 or 5 of my lineups, and he's in. So 5 lineups. He's in 4 of my 5 lineups I have built already. So Cam Young, because I'm just going to lean into the fact that he shot a 59 last week. That he's 2 years ago he played here. He finished in second place. He's just going to bomb and gouge this course like there's no tomorrow. And we could see he can shoot a 59 with being the 8th best putter in the the round. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So his distance is going to go really far this week. So I think I might
even a
sprinkle in
chalky
touch of Tom Kim, but Cam Young's my guy.
Even a chalky Cam Young, you're okay with that?
I'm not worried about it. Let me pull up ownership here. His ownership's not as bad as people think. Right now, it's only projected at 15% on Fantasy National. And guys, make sure you check out fantasynational.com if you want model making stuff, if you want ownership percentage, tournament history, anything. And if you sign up for any of their paid programs, make sure you let them know Fairway to Heaven is where you heard about him. He's only about 15%. I would expect it to go up a little bit. In that upper range, Alex Noren and Tom Kim. They're the higher owned guys. Cam Young and Minwoo Lee are a little bit lower, but a lot of the ownership goes a little bit further down to Pendrith in the mid-9s, Patea, Mav McNeely in the 8s, and the Keith Mitchells. They're the guys where a lot of the ownership's early projections are going right now.
Yeah, and I think if we're dropping down to the 9K range now, I feel like Taylor Pendrith is going to be the most chalkiest guy. I mean, it's Taylor Pendrith course, and he's been playing great this season. And so I think in the 9K range, this is so lined up for him.
But see, there's the thing, and he is projected as the highest owned guy as of this moment, just under 22%. But he's won this year on tour. Like, so it's a course for him. So like people always talk about ownership, and we haven't had a one-on-one, much on this stuff. I don't know where you feel on ownership. I don't care about ownership if I feel like a golfer has a damn good chance of winning. And Taylor Pendrith was the first bet I made this week at 35-1.
Okay.
So I don't care if he along with so he wasn't my top owned guy so far this week. He was one of my next down in most clicks, but I kind of feel like I don't care. If he's 25%, if I think he can win, I'm good with that.
I'm big on it, as long as I have one of the highest owned guys, I'm cool with that being my chalky guy. Because like you said, I'm so confident in that person, then it's like, who cares? Because everyone's getting those points. I'm getting those points. And I'm probably picking him in a, top 5, top 10 sort of bet and stuff like that. So
going further, I think they kind of messed up. Like I already said, I think Patea should be in that 10K range. Pendrith is a good price. But then you got, Jaeger at 94, who I like Jaeger, but he's cooled off this year. Zalatoris at 92, Rickie Fowler at 9, who I know you said he's done better lately, but not great. But he is the defending champ. But then below him, you got someone like Mav McNeely at 88. You got Keith Mitchell at 85. I kind of feel like some of the 8K guys should be 9K guys, and some of the 9K guys should be 8K guys. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, not at all. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to live in that 8K range for sure, because you can really get a lot of good quality guys in that 8K range.
No, absolutely. Do you like any of those other 9K guys that I'm not a fan of? Because again, I'm not playing Rickie Fowler as defending champion because I don't like the price. I don't like Will Zalatoris on this course because he's not a good putter, or short game guy. Jaeger, like I said, has cooled off. I'm pretty much after Pendrith. I'm pretty much dropping right down to the 8K range. I'm avoiding the rest of them.
Yeah, normally I would always like Steven Jaeger, but at this price, I can't do it. You're going to get so much value other places where golfers are playing well, where really besides Akshay and Taylor Pendrith, I can skip this whole entire rest of the 9K range.
I agree with you on that. Real quick before we continue here, guys, we are brought to you by Trending in the AM. Jesus. Wrong show there. Fairway to Heaven. We're brought to you by Edge of Philly Sports. We got a lot of great sponsors here. First and foremost, SherryTickets.com. Don't pay hidden fees when you get your tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater tickets, whatever. Go to SherryTickets.com and pay the price you see. None of this $50 ticket turns into $200 with fees. The price you see is the price you pay. You can also get an extra 10% off with promo code EOP at checkout, EOP10. If you need personal touch, you can call them 610-494-5050. Or again, just go to SherryTickets.com. I was talking to someone on a show last week, and they're like, well, I'm going to use that promo code to get my Green Day tickets. That's what you can do. You can literally use SherryTickets.com for anything. Make sure you check them out. And, of course, our great friends at PhillySportsTrips.com. Go to their website, sign up. Again, let them know Fairway to Heaven. EOP is where you heard about them. They got great travel packages to see your favorite teams. The Eagles in Brazil, week 1 of the NFL season. Tailgating packages, spring training tickets, obviously to go see Steve's favorite team, the Philadelphia Union in Miami, Birds takeovers in different cities across the country. Make sure you check them out, PhillySportsTrips.com. And we're right back at it here. Again, you're watching Fairway to Heaven, so make sure you hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button, follow button. Steve Fuentes, I'm Phil Stiefel. Let's look into that 8K range because I think the winner of this tournament could come from the 8K range. Matt McNeely, I know he's going to be chalky, but just like Taylor Pendrith, very, very likely that he could win this event. Aaron Rye, a guy I've been hot and cold on, think he can contend and maybe win this event. Killer Keith Mitchell, a great, great player. He makes a lot of birdies. He scores a lot of DraftKings points. He's the best approach player in this field at 8,500. Ryan Fox, a good play this week right there. Who do you like in this 8K range the most?
Maverick McNeely. He's got a good putter. He played well at the Canadian Open, and I just think that people are going to stay away from him. So, like in the DFS part of it, strategy part, I just think people are going to. They haven't seen him play for a little bit, so it's almost one of those, haven't seen you, don't know what you've been doing, going to stay away from you. So he's my favorite play here.
I like it. I bet him, along with Taylor Pendrith, my next biggest bet was Mav McNeely. So I got Pendrith 35-1, Mav McNeely at 30-1. I think both of them are strong bets this week. I don't know, when these fields are these weaker fields, I kind of tend to bet less outrights, focus more on just picking guys I think have good win equity, and then just focusing on the top 20s and stuff like that. So it's really hard because I forget Ron Close. I don't know if you follow Ron Close on Twitter, but Ron Close is a great follow. I don't even know if he does shows, but he puts out some great threads on tournaments every single week. And middle guys, like guys 30-1 or less have won this event, or long shots have won this event, the 5 years it's happened. So try to find that right number that wins this event. They're the guys I think that can win it right there in that 8K range. Dipping in the 7K range, I think there's a lot of fun names in this 7K range. Mark Hubbard, a guy that I always love to play in weak fields. But also two other names that I like that there's some interesting stories this week, and we'll get into some of the other stories in a little bit. But Nick Dunlap, who won and then went pro and then's been bad since. But this kind of field, he's a bomber of a golfer. He hits the ball a ton. He's had a lot of experience in tough events and signature events. Kind of feel like he could be this week. Another guy, Luke Clanton. He's only making his second start. He was in the U.S. Open and he made the cut. But he's a 20-year-old college kid. He's an amateur. He's a guy that if you could contend at the U.S. Open, and contend, I mean make the cut, this event you could do. So there's a couple names in there, but there's a lot of other names in the 7K that I like. But Hubbard and Dunlap are kind of guys that, I'm looking at this week.
Yeah, I was looking at Hubbard too, but the one guy who really stands out to me has got to be Svensson. Yeah. He has been playing so well. I know. I think you had in the last few weeks, or either last week
or.
I
love Svensson, but I really love Svensson in weaker fields, and I purposely didn't say his name to give you a name that I knew you'd like on that.
Yeah. Have I done that enough shows with you now that you know who you got a good?
I know. Me and you actually are normally on the same wavelength with a lot of golfers. So me and Jason typically are on the opposite end of a lot of golfers. But me and you, we're always on the same page. So I'm like, I know he's going to either want to say Hubbard or Spence's name. So I'm going to leave one of them off the list and leave it for you there.
I appreciate that. But he has just been, round one at the Travelers, 71, but then each day just progressively stayed with it. He wasn't high up there on the leaderboard, but at a price like this, that's not where you're not looking for, him to go out there and win it. If you get him top 10, top 15, that's a great value pick. So he's my probably favorite in the in the 7K range.
The players. My only concern with Svensson will be his putter. And so that's why I'll limit my exposure and DFS to him to 20 or 30% of usage, because his putter's okay sometimes, but when it's not okay, it's like he was 16th last week at the Travelers. He gained 1.3 strokes putting. The U.S. Open, he lost 6.5 strokes. The Memorial, 2.5 strokes, 3 strokes. At the Wells Fargo, he made the cut. He lost 8.5 strokes putting. So when it gets bad, the putter, it gets really bad. But he's great off the tee. He's a great approach player. He's a great tee to green. I do like him a lot this week, and I think he could be a good play.
Sam Stevens is my other guy.
Okay.
I think
Sam Stevens was hot early in the season.
Yeah. And I think he's been kind of back and forth between the Corn Ferry and DP and then back at PGA. So he's been golfing. It's just we haven't been really watching it or seeing it. And I think in these weaker courses, he's another bomber. So he's another fun guy who I can see going in a lot of my lineups.
I want to throw one more thing about Mark Mark Hubbard. I think he holds the record right now, the longest streak of cuts made. He's made 17 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. His last missed cut was in November. That's how long it's been since he's missed a cut. So in a weak field, you want all your guys to make the cut. I think Mark Hubbard's a good case to make the cut. Dipping down to the 6K range again, some interesting names down there. I mean, it gets pretty in a field like this. It gets pretty bleak. But I'm going to name a couple. Chandler Phillips made 11 of the last 15 cuts. He's got 6 top 25s. He's just on the outside. For a guy in the 6K range to just be on the outside of the FedEx Cup standings, a week like this, to have a great showing could get him into the FedEx Cup playoffs this week. It could. So I like him. Webb Simpson, we've made a lot of jokes about Webb Simpson being what do you want to call it? Getting exempt to every event. We've made jokes about it. But he's actually played pretty solid golf for an older guy everybody makes jokes, but he's making cuts. So I like Webb Simpson a little bit down here in the 6K range. And then the other one I really like down here in this range, another good story, Neil Shipley, 6,300. He made the cut the Masters. He made the cut the U.S. Open. I think he just turned pro maybe last week because of his showings. And Neil Shipley's got a pretty strong game for a weak field like this. So if this was a deep event, I wouldn't be banking on Neil Shipley having a good event. But in this field with this week class, I'll take Neil Shipley this week, maybe down at that cheap range too.
Yeah, no, I love Brendan Todd in this range. He gained on the putter. Yeah, I've and you know what's funny about him is I've told myself I'm not going to pick him this week. I'm not going to pick him this week for the last few weeks. And I don't think he at the Memorial, he didn't make the cut at the Memorial.
No.
But he's made 14 out of 17 cuts. He's got 2 top 10s and he's constantly playing good enough golf at that price range where it's like that's a steal. And I'm sure his ownership is almost never high, but he gained on the putter, he gained around the green. He's not that long on the driver, but for the other things, I like. Brendan
Todd right now is barely over 2% projection ownership. So I think that's a very, very good point that you brought on him. He wasn't on my radar, but now I'm looking at his player profile. Fantastic around the green, solid with the putter. He gets a little wonky on approaching off the tee, but it's not a penal course, so you can be inaccurate and still do well. Yeah, kind of like a little Brendan Todd now that you say it there. I like that one right there.
And then Adam Schenk. I think just him I know he sucks on the putter, but when he does get hot, he can get pretty hot. And this being a bomber's course, I like him. He played well earlier on the season and he's tailed off, but he's the other name who I like.
I'm looking at Adam Schenk because Adam Schenk was a guy that was a hot name to talk about early in this season on a regular basis. But I'm looking at his player profile here. He finished 55th at the Travelers. Not a very good showing, but he lost his stroke putting. The U.S. Open, everybody lost strokes putting at the U.S. Open, so that's a wash. The Memorial, lost his stroke putting. He gained 6 strokes at the PGA Championship putting, but still missed the cut. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I just saw that, and I'm just like, what? He also gained 6 strokes putting at the Valero where he had a 5th place finish and whatnot. But I'm just like, how do you miss the cut gaining 6 strokes putting? Like, I didn't even know that was humanly possible.
Yeah, he was bad. He was I mean, everyone was, but was, and I had him too. I think I had him in a few lineups, and I was just devastated because I was like, this is going to be my sneaky pick. Nope.
Yeah. There's a name I wanted to play in the 6K range, a name I wanted to get behind, and I just can't do it. He's had a terrible season. He's missed his last 3 cuts, 5 of his last 7, 6, 7, 8, 9 cuts this year. He's only made the cut 1, 2, 3 times this year. It's a guy I typically do like on longer courses or driver courses. and this is the thing, like, you kind of got to take stats sometimes like a grain of salt. He's the number one driver in the field, and he's the 8th best putter in the field over the last 36 rounds. That's Cam Champ. And I wanted to. Like, he's great at the Masters, which you need to putt and you need to drive the golf ball. But then this year it kind of fell off for him. He missed the cut at the Masters. Like I wanted to get behind Cam Champ, but sometimes stats can be deceiving. That's why you've got to do – I always try to preach to people, do deep dives into golfers before you play them, because sometimes the stats, like the last 36 rounds for him, because he's missed so many cuts, stretches a longer, range than someone that makes a cut every single week. So you kind of got to look at both. So maybe, but I doubt Cam Champ should be a play this week.
And I've wanted him to be good too, and I've wanted to pick him. And on Bombers courses, I know he's like one of those names that people always throw out there. So I like that. The other name I like is S.H. Kim.
Okay.
He is, for cut purposes, I feel like he is always in, I feel like the first 2 rounds, he's always up there in the top of the leaderboard. He's got a great putter, I feel like, but it's always Saturday and Sunday where he just slowly tapers off, and I'm just like, oh man.
At the bottom,
I feel like in a course in the field.
Yeah, the bottom of a board in a weak field like this, you just want him to make the cut, right? I mean, that's it.
Right. Yep.
So I got two 5K names I think can make the cut as well, and that's Carson Young, Cam Young's little brother. I don't know if it's his little brother or not. I don't even know if it's his brother for real, but he's, in my mind, he's his brother. And one of the twins, Pearson, or however you say his name, Pearson Cootie, I think he's a good play. Both of them are 5,900. And I think both of them are guys in this weak field could make it. Oh my God, the comment. Kyle, come on. Seriously? Gotta always bring up Justin Sue whenever he's around, right? Hold on. I don't even know.
Man.
Has Justin Sue actually, Kyle's a good friend of mine. Kyle loves Justin Sue for some random reason. He's got
I did last season too.
Sue. Let's see. He's missed 5 straight cuts, 6, 7, 8. He's missed 9 of his last 10 cuts, Kyle. We are not playing Justin Sue this week, okay?
He's in the field too. He is in the field.
He is.
And he's in this range. Oh man, I played him a lot last season.
Did you? So did I.
Yeah, no.
I even bet him outright a few times last season because Kyle had me on this Justin Sue hype train last season, and yeah, I lost. It's Kyle's fault. I'm broke. Okay, I'm just gonna say that.
Stay away from Sue.
Yeah. Do you like any of the cheap 5K guys this week?
Sam Ryder, I think on a birdie course, on a course where you're going to need birdies. Sorry, he's the guy. I think earlier on in the season there was a course. Yeah, he had 27 birdies at the Players.
Wow, and
it was incredible. I think he got he finished 16th. So that he is the guy who in this range who I'm looking at because the
didn't even realize he was in the field because he was great earlier in the season, but he has missed 4 of his last 5 cuts. So I've kind of written Sam Ryder off. So kind of forgot about him. So that's a good pull right there on Sam Ryder.
Hasn't played since the RBC Canadian Open. So some time
well
off
rested,
might do him a little good. Yep,
yeah,
well rested.
Right?
So yep.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, before we get to the final parts of this show, obviously we got to shout out the you can't call him when your bets lose. But if you need workers' compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or criminal law, call David Archerry, the Cherry Law Firm. He is here to fight for you and get you what you deserve. Give him a call, 610-565-0300. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Again, David Archerry, 610-565-0300 or cherryinjurylaw.com. And, of course, Dolan's Bar. If you want to watch one of the rounds of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, go to Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park. 65 years. They've been the quintessential Irish-American dive bar in Delaware County. Great food, great times. Find them on the internet, dolansbar.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. And, guys, make sure you hit subscribe. 7-day-a-week programming to Edge of Philly. Not just tonight, more shows later tonight, but also tomorrow, live NBA draft show. Friday, live NHL draft show. And, of course, on Thursday, Steve's main show, The Attacking Third, talking Philadelphia Union. You don't want to miss it, so if you hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss any of that stuff. All right, so me and you, Jason's not here to pick a lineup, so I guess me and you could build a lineup together. Or, we could just go one-on-one, me versus Steve in a lineup. I'm taking some notes here. So I'm going to let you go first, Steve, since you're the guest. Since you pop. Oh, no. I'll let you decide if you want to go first or second. How about we do that?
I'll go second. I'll go second.
I wanted to give you first, but you decided to go second.
Yeah.
Okay. So real quick, Jason did send me an update. Jason won last week the contest. So hold on, let me pull up my text messages from the slacker who didn't want to come on the show today. Where is it here? So he took a bigger lead on the one and dones because he had Patrick Cantley and I had Sam Burns. So he's now up almost 4 million on me in the lineup contest. Jason's had 11 wins. I've had 9, and guests are still only at 3. So Steve, you going second. I'm going first. So I am going to go with Tom Kim to kick off my lineup.
Well, I went second because I was for sure thinking you were going to go Cam Young, and I was like, oh well, I'll just let him.
I've got a lot
I'm
of
not
Cam
going
Young
him, so.
leverage already, so I wanted to temper expectations there with that.
All right, I'm going to start with Akshay
Bhatia, okay. I'm just writing this down as we go so I can figure this out later and enter it.
And next
you know what?
one is
I'm just gonna go Cam Young again with my second pick.
You're gonna okay.
I'm gonna go stars and scrubs here. I just went Tom Kim and Cam Young, in which we didn't really talk about this. Tom Kim's the highest priced guy at 11K, and they still left the 5K range in there. So I think it's kind of, interesting. We've talked about this before. When you have that 5K range, you got to put the top guys a little pricier. I think they should have put all those cheap 5K guys at just a flat 6, which would have made building lineups harder. But now I've got 2 10K guys, and I still got 7K left and an entire 5K range I could build from.
They've been wonky all season.
They have been.
I feel like they haven't been consistent at all. I kind of hope they're like that for football. Let me go with I'll go with Alex Noren.
Alex Noren. All right. So now I got to get cheap here. So we're gonna go Neil Shipley with my third pick. Keep it nice and cheap, nice and stars and scrubs.
You said Shipley?
Yeah, Neil Shipley.
All right, I just had him. Where is he? All right, I'm gonna go Joseph Bramlett.
We didn't mention him, but he was one of my starred guys that I just didn't end up getting into a lineup yet. So I do like that one.
I love him on a bomber sports.
I went too high. We're gonna go too low. We're gonna go Pearson Cootie at 5,900.
And because we mentioned him and I really liked him, I'm gonna go Sam Ryder.
Sam Ryder. Riders on the storm, right? How cheap should I go with my next pick? Do I do that? Is it insane to go? No. You know what? We're gonna go real stars and scrubs. We're gonna put 2 5K guys in this lineup. We're gonna go Carson Young with another lineup.
All right, Carson. Yeah.
So that's 2 5s and a low 6 to pair with Tom Kim and Cam Young. It's kind of an insane lineup right there.
As I say, I can't wait to hear how much you have left over.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Maverick McNeely.
Mav, got it. Thank God you went Mav McNeely, and it didn't. You left because I got a lot left on the board. And I can't take Noren. I can't take Bhatia because you took those guys. So I'm gonna go with the next best thing and Taylor Pendrith. So I went with Tom Kim, Cam Young, and Taylor Pendrith, 3 top tier guys, and then Shipley, Cootie, and Young.
Nice little spread around the board. All right, last pick.
Talk about a stars and scrub lineup right there.
Wait, so we got one more pick, right?
One more pick for you, yeah.
I'm more done. Pick. Well, all right. Since you didn't go, I'm gonna go Aaron Ra. I'm gonna go with your guy, Aaron Ra.
He's not my guy, just so you know.
Yeah, he is.
He is your narrative guy. Created by Jason to be a pain in the butt, just so you know.
Oh man, I should have put something under my title to keep his little thing going.
You got to keep this thing going there. He's always got something going. For the one and dones, just so you know, like I said, he's pretty much destroyed me. It's going to take a miracle for me to come back, but we'll keep it going all year. He's taking Bhatia this week in his one and done. And I am going to take he thought I would take Cam Young or so, or McNeely, who I've already used, so I can't. So I am. Who did I tell him I'm going with? Where's my text message? Shit. I told him who I was going with, and I want to make sure I tell him the same person. Tom Kim. Yeah, I'm going Tom Kim this week as my one and done. So he's going with Pataya. I'm going Tom Kim. Hopefully, well, I see. The thing is, like, I want Pataya to miss the cut so I catch up in the one and dones. But I'm going to put Pataya in half my lineup, so I don't want him to miss the cut. So we'll leave that at that. Let's just hope that Tom Kim wins the event then. I guess. I don't know.
It'd be good for him. Good for a good post-week birthday. How about them sharing the same birthday this week too? Scottie and Tom having that moment.
That's pretty cool. Hey, there are a lot of good moments and a lot of good stories this week in this event. I wanted to touch on this for a second. Obviously, we mentioned Neil Shipley's name, low amateur at the U.S. Open and the Masters. You got a guy, Stanford alumni, Michael Thorpson, just got his tour card, and he's playing the event. And he finished 39th last week at the Travelers, so that's pretty cool. You got a 19-year-old Auburn freshman, Jackson Kavuin. I don't even know if I'm saying that one even remotely right. Made the cut at the Memorial. That's pretty cool. Luke Clanton, who was 41st at the U.S. Open, mentioned him. He's a 20-year-old kid. Got a 21-year-old kid from Virginia, University of Virginia. Ben James is making it. But the big, cool thing, you got a guy named Miles Russell, 15-year-old high school freshman, finished 20th earlier this year at a Corn Ferry Tour event. He's miles ahead of my golf game, Miles Russell. Sorry, was that too cheesy? Sorry.
I was trying not to hold it in. I was trying to hold it in.
It was so funny. You had to laugh, right? Well, it's kind of cool, though. Could you imagine being a young kid like that in high school or college? And you're like, yeah, you want to come play in a PGA Tour event? We got a field to fill out, and they give it to you, and it's kind of cool.
I'd lose my mind if I was that age and you're going up again. Even who cares if you make the cut, sort of deal. Like, great, but if you don't, like, just the story itself being there.
I've actually heard
Tiger's son
and some write-ups that this Miles kid is actually a pretty talented golfer, and there's a lot of pressure being put on him because I read a couple of big name golf media people saying he could be part of the future of golf. So I hate that because there were kids when I was in the late 90s, early 2000s that had all this. DJ Trahan or something like that was the guy's name. You had the Michelle Wu, not Wu. What was the Asian female golfer? Really tall, skinny girl. She had a lot of hype put on her, and then she kind of had some struggles because of too much fame as a child.
Michelle, who you're talking about, and I can't think.
Yeah, I can't think of her name. So I kind of feel bad because of the internet age. Like, he's getting a lot of pressure put on him. What
was it? Michelle Wee?
Maybe it was Michelle Wee, not Michelle Wu. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's kind of cool though to see a 15. What could you imagine the story around golf this weekend if this Miles kid at 15 makes the cut this weekend? I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
And it's good too for, I guess, these weaker fields because they're going to have their moments. One of these guys is going to make the cut. Minimum one of these guys. And it's not going to be overshadowed by the Scotties, by the Ludwigs, by the Morikawas, in these weaker fields. So they'll be able to have their moment.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you on that. I just think it's going to be cool someday, Miles versus Charlie Woods. That's going to be the final round matchup of the Masters 10 years from now right there. And we're getting a little taste of it right now. If I was the PGA Tour, and I've said this before, I've also countered it. You're a dad. Jason's a dad. I've said it before. The thing that would save golf is Charlie Woods because he's got that Woods name. He's got the same fire and determination as Tiger. But then again, everyone tells me that's putting a lot of pressure on a 14-year-old kid. But at these weaker events, why not give Charlie Woods a shot? Just why not? You got all these sponsors exemptions. Sell some more tickets by putting Charlie Woods in the event.
And have his dad on the bag, being his caddy. I mean,
you're right.
You have that. You have that. I mean, you get at least 2 days of that, minimum. And if you get the whole weekend, great. Because you've seen them banter back and forth.
Hold on, though. I got to ask you. Because Charlie was at the U.S. Open following Tiger around. He was in the gallery there, and he was there for all the practice rounds, walking the course with him. If Tiger was Charlie's caddy for a PGA event, would Charlie still have to carry his own bag, or would he make his dad and his bum leg carry the bag for him?
Oh, I feel like 100% he would make his dad carry his bag. The way they banter and the way that they, have those, like I've seen on TikTok a few times, how they have those, going back and forth. He would 100% soak in that moment and be like, yeah, hey, how about you pull my putter out for me, Dad? Sort of like
Dad,
talk.
break that bunker for me, real. No, you say
Yeah.
I should use a 4-iron? No, 5-iron. I'm just thinking of when Shooter McGavin fired his caddy for recommending the wrong club on a chip shot. That's what I'm thinking of. That kind of banter. I think it would be great for golf. So put Tiger's son in one of these week events. Why not? I bet you when we get to the fall swing after the Tour Championship, I bet you we see Charlie Woods in an event at some point.
100%. 100%.
I know you did late research here and you weren't prepared totally. But did you make any bets yet? Are you leaning any way if you are going to make bets for this week's event?
I talked to you a little bit about it before the show about Akshay. I just think his trajectory, where he's headed, it's, I said he was the 100th at, I believe it was the Memorial. And then since then, he's done nothing but get better. To last week, he was in the fifth place. He finished fifth. So I think this is his week. I'm taking him as an outright. And I like, who was it? Taylor Pendrith as a top 5. That's what I have right now.
Okay, gotcha. So I already mentioned that I got Pendrith and Matt McNeely bets outright. I did make one long shot bet. Troy Merritt, who has missed the cut the RBC. He hasn't played since the RBC, missed the cut the RBC. Hasn't been fantastic this year, but hang on a second. I'm trying to do this. But the last 4 years at this event, he's gone 17th, 14th, 2nd, and 8th place. So he's got 4 straight top 20s at this event. He was 120 to 1. So I threw a buck for 120 to 1. Why not? Which is, to me, it's like a quarter to a third of a unit. I normally bet $3 to $5, per golfer. So throwing a buck, just showing people the percentage of something like that on a long shot. I also threw top 20 bets on Aaron Rye, Akshay Bhatia, Killer Keith Mitchell, and Chris Kirk as well. I made top 20 bets on those guys as well. Just to throw that out there. Steve, what you got going on? I appreciate you filling in here on such short notice tonight. But what you got? Obviously, he's got the attacking third on Thursday. What else you got going on this week?
Nothing else this week. Last week was a busy week for me, so this week not doing much of anything. Just sticking to the to my regular show. But the articles, you guys can find me at my articles at EOP for the Union articles that I do, and then like you said, Thursday with Pat on the attacking third.
There you go, awesome stuff. And guys, make sure you, like I said, you hit that subscribe button, the follow button, wherever you're watching, whatever platform you're watching. There's so much content on this EOP channel. And there's even jokes going that we're going to try to do a 24-hour straight broadcast. How, I don't know, but we're going to try it. But again, not only all the regular programming, there's going to be a live NBA draft show tomorrow night for the whole entire NBA draft. Round 1, and are they doing anything for round 2? No, they're not doing a round 2. Slackers. But then they'll also do a round 1 draft for the NHL draft on Friday as well. So you want to stay locked in. It's not just Philly sports. It's national sports. There's wrestling content, lacrosse, soccer. There's everything on this channel. So make sure you guys are locked into EOP. But for Steve, thank you very much, Steve. I am Phil Stiefel. We're going to wrap it up right there for the day. Have a great night. Let's get some bets. Scottie's not in the field. We actually have a chance to hit an outright this week, guys. Let's go. And as we end every show on this show that I host, it's really simple, guys. It's just bubbles up.